welcome everybody to the board meeting tonight.
Trustee Lina?
Here.
Trustee Sella?
Here.
Trustee Wood? Trustee Hall?
Here.
Trustee Mahoney? Trustee Andreessen?
Here.
President Miller?
Okay. And before we go any further, we would need a motion to appoint me mayor pro tem in Lael's absence.
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Trustee Lina?
Yes.
Trustee Sella?
Yes.
Trustee Hall?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney? Yes. Trustee Andreessen?
Yes.
And if you all
Say
join
what was
me,
it about?
guys, pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you. Okay. All right, we have public comments. Is anybody in the audience that wish to address the board? We can, this is normally on agenda items only, but we will move the public comments at the end to the front as, do we need a motion on that? No.
The chair's allowed to do
You, sir.
Hello, good evening. I'm Steve Lennon. I live 100 yards south of Club Royale. I've been in front of you guys for a lot of years talking about noise complaints. I had another noise complaint against Club Royale. It started about 8:30 Saturday, about 9:50 I finally called. Noise goes up and down. 8:30 started bang, right out of the box. Went up and down, up and down. Finally called, law enforcement comes, he doesn't hear the noise, which is typical. It's always luck of the draw. Sometimes you hear it, sometimes you don't. During our conversation, then he heard it. I don't care what this business does, but he's doing it in my house. He's doing it in my house. He's causing my family emotional stress, physical stress. We get headaches, we don't want to eat, we don't want to sleep. He bought this building knowing full well the previous owner had tons of complaints. He bought it anyway. Former chief me acknowledged this. I want to explain, there's a new board member here, or to refresh everybody, this is not music. It's not music. I've never heard music. This is ultra low frequency noise. I'm a gunner's mate in the Navy. These are bombs going off in the background. These are fireworks in our neighboring city when you're trying to sleep. The best scenario is this is that guy driving by in that car with that really loud bass, except he's parked outside my window. And he's been doing this for years. I don't even think he understands the fundamentals of the problem. For instance, he's in the parking lot of GAT trying to read ultra-low frequency noise that can't be read by this. And noise needs something to bounce off of. That's why your ears are like this. That's my house. Former Chief Me made law enforcement come into the house to acknowledge this obnoxious noise. They did almost every time. One time they didn't, couldn't hear it. Current protocol is when they hear it outside, is de facto inside, so they don't have to come in. Can you imagine how onerous this has been for me and my family and my renter? Put my dogs away, have law enforcement coming in. This Saturday night, I don't want you guys in my house. I shouldn't have to turn the music up loud over my neighbor's noise. I shouldn't. He always gets a free pass. Every night. I can't call in a complaint. He gets a free pass every single time. He uses this to his advantage like a tool. Now, I'm not just that neighbor, get off my grass. He's hurting me and my family and my renter. If I don't call when it first blossoms, it goes up and up and up and up until I have to call. This is standard operating procedure, 100 yards away from my house. Former tickets, I'm sorry, I'm not watching my time. Former tickets got balled into 3. Went to a meeting and they were all thrown out because plainly audible wasn't clear enough. So countless hours in inconvenience and harm to my family gets thrown out because of verbiage. That can has been kicked down the road years later. The verbiage is still not changed. I have to do this. I am not going to let you force feed me your business in my house. You guys have to stop it. It's been going on way too long, years and years. I need some help. Try not to get passionate, you know, I jump around a little bit when I'm up here. It's been really a long time, you guys. I need some help here.
Actually,
Questions?
Chief, do you have,
Well, I'd like to respond to one thing, maybe a couple. Yeah, so we do not require an officer to go into his home. That's not happened in the last year. Am I right, Steve?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, we have ticketed consistently, I think every month since November, Club Royal's owner has been on the agenda for adjudication. And fines have been, the packaging of 3 together and then it being dismissed, that happened before I was here.
Way before, Chief.
Okay.
Way before.
So let's stick, Steve, to what's happened, you know, like in the last year, please.
Yes, the reason I brought that up is because I'm afraid I'm going down the same path again where they're gonna throw them out, because the verbiage hasn't been changed in the ordinance. It still says plainly audible, and that
But
wasn't,
it also says that this applies to the base.
but it wasn't clear enough before.
It's clear enough now. We have the attention of the hearing
All right.
officer. You've attended,
Okay.
you know that. But
Okay.
that's not to in any way diminish the noise that keeps you and your family awake.
Understood. And I have to do this as the head of my household and my landlord. I'm not gonna let this go. You're doing me wrong in my family, and it's harmful to me. You know what? Last 2 weekends, it was quiet. Oh my God, the silence was deafening.
well, actually, there was an issue that they.
I've heard of some things, but the silence was deafening, and it made me feel sad because I was overjoyed because the silence was deafening. It shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't be here ever. You know, real quick, there's a pediment. There was a fella that I learned to work with, a manager under his department, and I just learned to work around him all the time. All of a sudden, he's gone. It was like a big rock taken out of a small stream. It's, oh my God, I didn't realize that I was dealing with this and just accepted it for so long. And I'm trying to pull that rock out.
No, well, I'd like to apologize. Actually, the board's patience has run very thin with this guy. And so, Chief, I think we would need to really explore this and turn up the heat a bit, actually quite a bit. And so whatever anybody's got any suggestions that
We have, and we're addressing, we're addressing all the complaints and issuing tickets when we can, and we've changed the code, as you know, so that the penalty is up to $5,000 now. So we're doing this progressively, and eventually, it might get to a fine, that's fine, but they were suspended for a week.
Thus the silence.
That's what the silence for. So we're taking every avenue we have available to make sure that we correct this problem.
But if you're, from here on out, if every citation that's issued is met with a $5,000 fine, eventually we're going to get his attention. So,
I appreciate it. I'm afraid of the outcome because that business or my home is, I feel like I'm maybe not the safest guy in the world because I'm the only person bringing this up to a really important thing of Mr. Benitez. And I don't want to harm anyone, but I'm not going to allow my family to get harmed either.
no, but there has to be some give and take, obviously, so.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks, Dave.
Did he make any changes that the
Well, yes.
sound engineer told him to do?
Well, I can expound on that. I'm deep in the weeds on this. About 2 meetings ago, several meetings ago, previously he was talking about how much he spent on acoustics on the north side and the west side of the building. And that's fantastic, but I live on the southeast side. I don't know what game he's playing, but it's always the same old dance. There's always, well, I'm a racist, obviously, because I don't like Latin music. By the way, it's not music. I've never heard any music. It's Gat Guns that's doing it. It's road noise. It's the milk pail that's doing it. Same story. I don't like being here. It's so onerous and distasteful and bothersome to me. I'm gonna keep doing it. It's not right.
Well, as somebody who sits on the liquor commission, I can tell you that they definitely have our attention, which is why you had peace and quiet for a week, and they also got hit with the maximum fine we could issue at that time. And as Commissioner Johnson mentioned, we've passed ordinance revisions that substantially increase the penalties for ordinance violations of this nature. So,
Mainly due to the issue with this
I mean, again,
particular
so,
business.
I feel like I have some ears tonight. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
thank
Good
you.
night, folks.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is opening a proposed budget. So, we want to do that. So can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing proposing the annual fiscal year 2020 budget beginning May 1st, 2019 and ending April 30th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor? Any against?
Does anybody have any comments? Okay, well, I'll accept the motion to close the public hearing on the budget.
So moved.
All in favor?
Okay. In fact, we have a motion then on consent agenda items.
I'll make a motion on the consent agenda items. A, motion to approve the regular village board meeting minutes dated March 18th. Item B, motion to approve the regular village board meeting minutes dated April 1st, 2019. Item C, motion to approve the special village board meeting minutes dated April 8th, 2019. Item D, motion to approve an ordinance adopting the 2019-2020 annual budget. Item E, motion to approve an ordinance consolidating funds and committing fund balance for the next year's debt service requirements. Item F, motion to approve an ordinance restricting the use of home rule sales tax and video gaming tax and license fee revenues. Item G, motion to approve an ordinance amending the water and wastewater sewage rates. Item H, motion to approve fiscal year 2020 compensation plan. And item I, motion to approve the fiscal year 2020 capital improvement plan.
Second.
Did anybody have any questions or comments, things they want to change or omit or anything, no? Okay.
Trustee Lina?
Yes.
Trustee Sella?
Yes.
Trustee Hall?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Andrews?
Yes.
Okay, we have no old business, so that takes us to new business. Our first item will be swearing in a part-time officer, Michael.
Mike Keachla.
May
May I say just a few words before the
Absolutely, Chief.
the oath is
Floor is
administered?
yours.
Mike Keachla is here tonight with his wife Becky. Actually, they're newlyweds. Mike graduated from Southern Illinois University magna cum laude in the administration of justice. That was 1988. He was quickly hired then after graduation by the Bloomingdale Police Department, who he's been with now for 30 years, 30 plus years. He retires from Bloomingdale Police next month. Is that right?
Correct.
Next month. And will come to work with us, working more hours, of course, after he's graduated. He retires as a commander in Bloomingdale. Before that, of course, he was a sergeant. And during his career, he's worked on a burglary task force. He's a certified accident reconstruction from Northwestern University. He's been a traffic coordinator for the Bloomingdale Police, evidence technician, a certified truck enforcement officer, and a field training officer. He's trained upwards of 20 new police officers for the job. He's taught in Bloomingdale Citizen Police Academy. He's conducted internal affairs investigations and handled discipline when necessary. The man has a great background. Better yet, aside from this diverse professional background, most important to us is that the background investigation has revealed that he's strong, capital letters, in professional ethics, interacting with the public, courtroom testimony, providing emergency assistance to people in need, investigation of crimes and arrests of suspects.
Mike has a son who just got off duty. He's a Vernon Hills police officer. Otherwise, he'd be here tonight. But his shift ended at 6 o'clock. Do I need to say that we're enthusiastic about Mike joining the East Dundee Police Department? Thank you.
We need to clone him.
I'm sorry?
So it sounds like we need to clone him.
Should make him pro tem tonight.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the ordinances of the Village of East Dundee,
and the ordinances of the Village of East Dundee,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer
for the Village of East Dundee
for the Village of East Dundee
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Please.
Welcome.
Welcome everyone.
Yes.
And
Happy to have you.
we're excited about starting here. It's a really good fit for me.
I mean, despite your lack of background, I mean, you'll pick it up eventually.
And I'll get the last name right next time.
Yeah, that was a heck.
It's a hard one to pronounce. It's taking me a while.
Thank you for the
Wait. We gotta pin the badge on.
Oh, yeah.
You might want to have one of those.
Mike is asking.
He's just afraid of an opponent.
I'm trying to get out of it.
Okay, great.
Thanks again,
Thank
guys.
you.
Okay, moving on. We have business item B, if I could have a motion. All actions we need is just a discussion. So discussion and consideration of an ordinance, so. Yeah, it's a motion.
Oh, it is?
Yes. Well, we're talking about an ordinance, so.
Okay, I'll make a motion for discussion and consideration of an ordinance granting development waivers for 601 Dundee Avenue, Sands Village splash structure.
Sorry.
Catherine? Oh, well, yeah, I'm sorry. Does anybody, can you get us this?
Yes, just for clarification, so the agenda says discussion and consideration because it hasn't been on the agenda for any prior discussion. So it would give you the opportunity to discuss first prior to motion, but you're certainly free to make a motion to approve. And then we can discuss after the motion in a second. So the item in front of you is for the splash park that Sanders Village is putting in. They're going to attempt to complete the parking lot, but their funds may not be available, so they basically asked for a 2-year waiver for some of the parking lot improvements, including the lighting, the pavement, and a permanent waiver from a landscaping requirement that requires landscaping islands every 10 spaces. And the village board has typically waived that in the interest of providing parking, especially a place like an amusement park. I don't know if Engineer Hines, do you have anything to add to that?
They do plan to do the first half with pavement and curbs and everything. It's just the second half.
So this is on the site where the water slide was, so there's no guidance? Okay. I'm just wondering about safety concerns with the parking lot and the lighting and so forth. I mean, 2 years seems to be quite a bit. I mean, are they going to be working towards rectifying that prior to 2 years?
No, I think they're going to need less than 2 years.
And I guess what I would say, Jeff, on that one is, the water park portions will be open during the day as opposed to the evening. And we send this village, the ownership of that's in there now has put millions of dollars into that business. And I mean, they bring 250,000 plus people to our village every year. And if we can give them some accommodation as they basically take whatever money they have, are throwing it constantly back into the business. I mean, I think it's a very minor accommodation, and I think that we would be foolish not to do that for them.
Are they current with their water bill?
Yes.
There isn't any issues as far as supply.
Water supply. No, that's been reviewed, actually, the water, they're not even bringing any water main in for that.
No, they're servicing it with a very small service line, so it's.
What do they have, like a 2-inch line or a 2?
That's not very much.
Yeah, it's not really a water property, I don't think, more like a splash.
Splash pad, yeah.
Oh,
They hope to have it open for the summer?
they're trying desperate.
You getting ready, Dan?
Yeah. Trustees should be in for free.
Any further points, anything? No? Catherine?
Trustee Lionel?
Yes.
Trustee Sell?
Yes.
Trustee Hall?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen?
Yes.
Okay, that takes us to item C, if I could have a motion.
I make a motion for discussion and consideration of a resolution approving a cable television franchise agreement with Comcast in Northern Illinois.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Would you, yeah, actually, we have somebody from
We do.
Comcast here.
We do.
Hello?
So, our Comcast franchise agreement recently expired. Before you, you have a new proposed franchise agreement, which has very similar terms to what was in our previous one. It's for 10 years, given the right to use our villages right away. There'll be a 5% annual franchise fee to the village. So a lot of the same terms are in there. You know, Attorney Smith sat on the board or the committee with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus that came up with this template agreement that's been used by multiple municipalities throughout the Chicago area. So it's similar to that. As I said, there's really no changes to it from our last one. So we're just looking to extend it for another 10 years. We do have Joan Sage here with Comcast. If you have any questions for her. I don't know if you have anything you wanted to add.
I just had a question. Is this an exclusive agreement?
It is.
No, under state law, you have to allow folks to use your right-of-way if they meet your minimum standards for the use of the right-of-way. So that's where you find your AT&Ts and your Comcast. And in some communities, others will come in as well. But if they meet your standards, they will be on it.
I read through the agreement and find no issue with it, but my question is, what it's always been is one of competition. You're the only game in town, and I can't get right with that. I don't understand why it is only Comcast has the right to do business in this town. There are others available, and why we don't make that available to them is beyond me.
Well, any other user of the right-of-way who wants to come in and make the infrastructure capital investment to go on your right-of-way may do so. So if another provider of similar services were to come forward, you cannot say no to them. The issue is the capital cost of installing a system for the first time are so great, because if you're doing, you know, fiber or coaxial cable like Comcast does to each household, it's a multi-million-dollar investment. So it's a market reality.
But now, presently, there are digital options, so there is competition.
Well, true enough, and I mean, just technology alone, streaming and so forth, there are other means that make, unfortunately, coax kind of a, you know.
Well, that's why we have so much fiber, and Comcast does have a different item that is, it's like fiber over the coax. We have a special product that we have that acts like fiber, but it is still coax, but it can take the gig service right to the home, even though it's using the coax. So we've invested a lot of money in that infrastructure to make sure that we can be ahead of the curve with everything, because we all know that everything is getting faster and everybody wants more. And so we have invested the money in that. And so like the attorney says, anyone who wants to come in, right, toward the top of the agreement does say that it is non-exclusive, which means that anyone who wants to spend money can come in. And all we ask is for a level playing field, whatever you're giving them, we want it to be the same as what we.
So are you using AT&T's lines then?
No, we use our own. It's our own lines, they have their separate lines, and sometimes it gets a little crowded in that space because a lot of people are putting down fiber. But we're happy to serve you. I've given all of you my card so that you know that I like to say the franchise agreement, what's required by the FCC, and it's really our permit to do business in your town. What you get along with that is me, so that if something happens and you have a question or concern, you are always welcome to reach out to me. And I do have 58 communities, so I'm on the road a lot, I travel a lot, but I always do get back via email or phone, and I'm always happy to come. I love this area. I'm always happy to come out here. My office is in Rockford, which isn't that far away. So I'm here for you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so, we go vote on this?
Need a motion second.
Can I have a second?
We do.
We will have a second, just to vote, okay.
Trustee Lyman?
Yes.
Trustee Silla?
Yes.
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney? Yes. Trustee Andreessen?
Yes.
Okay, takes us to item
Thank
D.
you.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the Illinois Department of Transportation resolution for maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code in order to expend $71,000 in motor fuel tax funds for the purpose of maintaining the village's local roadway system.
Okay.
Second.
Jennifer, you want to step back on, sorry, Phil?
Do you want to provide background on that?
Sure. Municipal entities that utilize MFT motor fuel tax funds for roadway system improvements are required to pass a resolution indicating how we're going to spend those MFT dollars. And so in this case, our fiscal year 19 budget included $71,000, of which $31,000 was for purchasing road salt and $40,000 for street light electricity. So we're essentially telling IDOT how we're spending $71,000.
So where do these funds originate from? Like that was the one thing I didn't understand, is like, you know, the motor fuel tax funds. I mean, is that something we get from IDOT? Is that something that, I mean, is that something we collect as a
The
village?
revenue generated, it's provided from the state of Illinois based on,
Per capita.
it's per capita for, I don't know what our exact rate is currently, but
And the 71,000, that was split basically almost in the middle between the road salt and then the lighting. Was that basically our max, our cap in East Dundee? or-
our annual revenue was close to $70,000, I believe, on the MFT fund. So we elected to allocate or appropriate expenditures essentially with expenditures equal to what we generate on an annual basis.
And the reason being is we picked very simple items because when you're using MFT funds, you get audited. So we intentionally avoid things that involve labor. So when you pick expenditures that are state bid, like salt, or that, we pay Comcast for electricity, so we cannot provide it to someone else, the audit goes much more smoothly. So this is something will be done every year in conjunction with the budget, just saying these are the two items that we'll spend. So it's relatively simple in East Dundee because our per capita is so low, but that's.
So then, it's always been our standard procedure though to use the taxes that we generate from sales of gasoline in our town for road, correct? I mean, is this money that's being augmented by the state to our budget here?
Yes, this is collected by the state and distributed per capita. It's not a local tax.
And so these funds can be used for a number of roadway system improvements. So that includes, obviously, road salt and electricity, road surfacing, resurfacing, patching, tree trimming,
Lighting.
anything within essentially the roadway system is eligible for MFT motor fuel. And we've elected to expend electricity and road salt.
But to Jennifer's point, if we try to use it for resurfacing and patching or whatever, it would be 1,001 hoops to jump through to get it like
especially when it comes down to the audit, you're supposed to be audited annually, it doesn't happen, but, so we should pick something that they're not gonna contest later.
And what if they do contest it, just to educate us, what are you looking at? I mean, being eliminated from the program in the following year?
No, they just provide you with direction on how to correct it, and you make those corrections. I mean, that's my past experience.
Yeah. In this case, they would not certainly question road salt or street light electricity at all. It's, I think these are two expenses that are fairly common, or very common in the FTA.
Good enough, good enough. Okay, anything else? No?
Trustee Lyman?
Yes.
Trustee Sel?
Yes.
Trustee Hall?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney? Yes. Trustee Andreessen?
Yes.
Okay, warrants list are in your packet, so we go through that. If any questions arise, Jennifer or Molly, Mr. Cochran. Village President report, since that's me, I don't have anything other than the items that I have addressed to Jennifer in the past that seem to be repairing those, being with the community thrift store. I got some new photos for you. And also then our window lighting for several businesses, so that seems to be another issue. So we'll go to trustees, start down.
No report.
No report, wonderful. Kathleen?
I just wanted to compliment Chris and the folks from Public Works and Jennifer and all the people that have been involved in using the resources that we have here as far as labor and on improving the village hall. I'm looking forward to seeing what improvements have been made because I've been in there a few times and it's pretty shabby.
And we need a few.
And we need a few. And whatever we can do to make this a good place and safe place and a productive place for you guys to work, I'm all in favor of. So thank you for trying to keep it within our expenses that we are already budgeted for and being creative with getting them done instead of hiring outside and creating other bills. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Trustee Andrews?
No report.
No report. Trustee Sutton?
No report.
No report, okay. That brings us to village administrator.
No report?
No report, our village attorney.
None for me, thank you.
All right. Joe, village engineer.
No report.
Oh, man. Chief, what you got?
Well, geez, there's pressure on me.
That's what I answer, Chief.
I have a report as well. The police-related item, because I was hoping to talk about our talk at the senior center.
Oh,
Maybe.
yeah, was it last week, Jennifer and I spoke at where was it this time?
Park District.
The breakout center.
Right.
And I don't know, I would say there were 60 or so people, maybe more, for lunch. And Officer Jessica Marino assisted us, and we talked about general village, what's happening in the village, as well as scams against the elderly, and it went real well. And that's the, I don't know, third or fourth time that Jennifer and I have spoken, and it seems, I think it's well received, because here's Jennifer talking about what's going on in the village and giving a current report, and then, you know, I'm talking about other police-related issues. We're going to speak now, where are we going in May?
Gardner Place,
Gardner
right?
Place, yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
that's correct, in May. So, yeah, I'm always looking for opportunities to get out in public, so if any of you ever have a suggestion, please, by all means, bring it to my attention. I also wanted to mention that Mike Governale was here earlier. He finished 28 years of service over the weekend of the East Dundee Police. And I wanted to remind you that April is Negligent Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Under a grant, we've been doing additional patrols during the daytime and issuing a good number of citations to people who are texting while driving or reading their email and such.
So if you are operating a phone or a vehicle without handheld or hands-free, rather, Is that a state
It is,
ticket? It's
is.
not anything that we would have to set up.
that's correct.
Because I got hit in Valentine for $50. Wow, my Bluetooth went out, I swear. He didn't buy it, but,
All of us can see others when we're driving who are, on their device, and my goodness, that leads to far too many crashes on the roadways.
yeah, and there were actually, because there was a individual just this evening who was on the tollway that happened to run off the road because I was driving too slow.
Chief, is there a thing in a procedure in Illinois or whatever? Because I know sometimes like people get like DUIs or something like that, they have like almost like an education program where they like, okay, you can drink and drive if you want, but here's the parade of horribles that happens.
Right.
You know, I mean, to your point, I mean, driving and texting and driving and fiddling with your phone, I mean, it leads to a lot of accidents, and I don't know if people really appreciate how serious it is. I know.
There's no, Scott, there's no training class on this that I'm aware of. The law is pretty clear. I know there's a tendency if you're at a red light to grab a quick glimpse, and because we all live on email, right? But even that's against the law. You can't use the device. If you're at a red light, it counts as driving. You're in the roadway and your vehicle
That's
is.
the one I got in Chicago. Yeah. I'm with you, Jeff. I didn't fight it, I just paid on the
Trustworthy trustees.
So I'm used to taking confessions. Just they're usually not done in public.
One more point to your scam comment was, I heard on the radio that phishing scams with email are getting a lot more sophisticated right now, especially during tax time. They will be coming from tax-related businesses and so forth, and IRS contractors and things like that, and their graphics and their spelling in these emails has improved significantly, so.
Right, and
The
there's
IRS
so
will
many,
never contact you by email.
there's so many scams, Jeff, that I don't really get into the details, the specifics. I mean, the rule is, none of these federal agencies or state agencies will call you and ask for personal information.
Or send you an email.
Right, same
Yeah,
thing.
never gonna happen. So,
Unfortunately, we've got a lot of examples right here in town of many of these scams, and I do talk about those. Things that have happened here, it's the same things that happen everywhere else.
I guess just one comment on the presentation that George and Jennifer did. I mean, I think it's important that we do get out and reach out to the senior citizens because, they are the ones more likely to not be on Facebook or the internet or social media or whatever, to become aware of these things. So, and they're the ones more likely to be targeted and victimized or actually fall for it anyway. So I think it's important that I think it's great that we did that, or you guys did that, and we keep doing that.
Unfortunately, many of them are on the internet because they actually speak up and tell us about some of their experiences.
So I've actually gotten 3 or 4 calls about people that got a call from the IRS that you're going to call the cops. And I'm like,
Yeah, you will be arrested.
Yeah. So I've called a few of them back just when I was bored, and they don't seem to be able to provide much information.
Okay, moving on.
Are we finished, Chief? I just wanted to mention, I didn't want to steal your thunder on that either, that the Jason Partham, the deputy fire chief, was sworn in as fire chief today. So we do have a new fire chief in the East Dundee Fire Protection District. So George and I attended that also. But I just wanted to let you know, since it is your fire chief.
How about Director of Public Works? Phil?
We've officially turned off and unplugged our East Dundee snow machine.
All right. Good mistake, huh?
I apologize.
Bad mistake.
We'll plug it in the fall.
It worked well, though. It worked well.
Yeah, it worked well.
I saw the guys out yesterday, so
Yeah.
it was crazy weather. And building official, Chris is not here. Finance. What you got? No report. Public comment. Does anybody in the audience like to address the board for anything? No? Anybody got a joke? All right, so we are not going into executive session, or great. So if I could have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you all.